Imagine discovering a library buried for 4,000 years. Inside, you find instructions for performing brain surgery, mathematical formulas that wouldn't be rediscovered until the Renaissance, legal codes more sophisticated than anything that would exist for the next 2 millennia. This isn't science fiction. This is Sumer, the world's first civilization. And the more we unearth from the sands of Iraq, the more we're forced to ask, did humanity once know things we've forgotten? Welcome back to Myths of the Cosmos, where ancient mysteries meet modern questions. Today, we're traveling to the cradle of civilization itself, Mesopotamia, the land between 2 rivers. Around 4500 BCE, while most of humanity lived in scattered villages, the Sumerians built cities, created writing, established the first schools. They called themselves the Black-Headed People. And according to their own records, their knowledge didn't come from gradual discovery. It came from the gods, beings who descended from the heavens, walked among humans, and taught them the secrets of civilization. The Sumerians were explicit about this. These weren't metaphors. These were historical claims. So here's our question. Were the Sumerians remembering something real or creating mythology to explain their own genius? Let's start with what we know for certain. The Sumerians invented writing, cuneiform, around 3200 BCE. Not primitive scratches, a sophisticated system with over 600 characters, capable of expressing complex legal, mathematical, and philosophical concepts. They divided circles into 360 degrees, time into units of 60. The same systems we use today, 5,000 years later. They performed successful surgeries, including trepanation, drilling holes in skulls to relieve pressure. Medical texts describe procedures with anatomical precision that wouldn't be matched until the modern era. Their legal code, predating Hammurabi by centuries, established concepts like contracts, property rights, and due process, things we consider foundations of civilization. But here's what's truly strange. This knowledge appears almost fully formed. There's remarkably little evidence of gradual development. One moment, humanity is using stone tools. The next, metaphorically speaking, Sumerians are calculating the movement of planets and building multi-story ziggurats. Archaeologists call this the sudden Sumerian problem. It's as if someone hit fast forward on human progress. And according to Sumerian texts, someone did. The Sumerians spoke of the Anunnaki, gods who came from the heavens. 7 divine beings who decreed the fates of humanity. But these weren't distant, abstract deities. The texts describe them walking in cities, teaching crafts, sharing knowledge. Enki, the god of wisdom, was said to have given humanity writing, mathematics, and the arts of civilization. In the Sumerian king list, a historical document, not mythology, the earliest rulers supposedly reigned for thousands of years. Then, after the flood, kingship returned with more human lifespans.
Sound familiar? Almost every ancient culture has flood myths. And curiously, geological evidence suggests catastrophic flooding in Mesopotamia around 2900 BCE. Some scholars read these texts literally. Advanced beings taught primitive humans. Others see allegory. Priest kings claiming divine authority to control populations. But there's a third possibility, stranger than either. What if the Sumerians were remembering an earlier, forgotten human civilization? What if we were the gods they wrote about? An advanced society that collapsed, leaving only fragments of knowledge behind. After all, if our civilization collapsed tomorrow, what would survive 4,000 years? Stone monuments, confused legends, perhaps fragments of advanced knowledge attributed to gods by survivors who no longer understood them.
Let's be clear. There's a rational explanation for Sumerian advancement. Geography. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers created ideal conditions for agriculture. Surplus food meant specialized labor. Specialization meant innovation. Cities meant concentrated knowledge. Knowledge meant progress. The sudden appearance of civilization may just be a trick of the archaeological record. Organic materials decay. Most evidence of gradual development would have vanished millennia ago. As for gods teaching humans, every culture creates origin myths. Humans are pattern-seeking creatures who personify natural forces. Thunder becomes Thor. The sun becomes Ra. The gift of civilization becomes Enki. The Sumerians weren't describing literal gods or ancient astronauts. They were explaining their own cultural achievements through the lens of their worldview. A worldview where everything significant required divine intervention. Mystery solved? Not quite. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. We have lost knowledge. The Library of Alexandria burned. Centuries of accumulated wisdom gone. The Roman Empire collapsed, and Europe forgot how to build aqueducts, create concrete, or maintain sanitation systems for 1,000 years. The Maya developed astronomy so precise they calculated Venus's orbit within hours of our modern measurements. Then their cities fell, and that knowledge scattered into jungle whispers. We've lost the method for creating Damascus steel, Greek fire, the exact acoustic engineering of ancient amphitheaters. Dozens of ancient technologies and techniques vanished. And that just in recorded history. Before writing, how much knowledge lived only in oral traditions? How many innovations disappeared when their inventors died? How many golden ages rose and fell in the 200,000 years of human existence before Sumer, leaving no trace but myth? The Sumerians might not be describing literal gods, but they might be describing us, humanity, at an earlier peak, dimly remembered through generations of storytelling until the truth became legend. So what's the truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. The Sumerians were brilliant, innovative people who made genuine breakthroughs,
Their success wasn't divine intervention, it was human genius meeting favorable conditions. But they may also have inherited fragments from earlier cultures we haven't discovered yet. Neolithic peoples were more sophisticated than we once believed. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, built 11,000 years ago, proves complex societies existed before agriculture. The gods in Sumerian mythology likely represent idealized ancestors, cultural heroes, and personified natural forces. But here's what haunts me. What if some of those myths are distorted memories of real knowledge? What if the Sumerians were teaching us something true? That human wisdom isn't a straight line upward, but a cycle, rising, falling, rising again. Every civilization believes it stands at history's peak. The Sumerians thought so. The Romans thought so. We think so. And every civilization eventually becomes a mystery for future archaeologists to puzzle over.
The lost knowledge of Sumer reminds us of something humbling. Everything we know can be forgotten. Everything we build can be buried. Everything we consider obvious can become mysterious. The Sumerians left us their questions carved in clay. What will we leave behind? If you want to explore more ancient mysteries and cosmic questions, subscribe to Myths of the Cosmos, because the past isn't just behind us. Sometimes it's a warning about our future. Until next time, keep questioning everything.